Hello, students. I wanted to reach out to you and just answer some questions that you might have about the social media project that is due Monday, March 26th, 2018. I wanted to talk with you because I know it's a huge project and I just wanted to help you feel more at ease going into it so you know what my expectations are and you know that I can answer any questions that you might have. So first of all, the overview is it's a team project and you're going to develop a PR campaign, public relations campaign, using multiple social media sites as a publication platform. The assignment's worth 150 points and it will be due on Monday, March 26th. So it says Sunday, but it should say Monday, March 26th. For this assignment, you will take what you've learned in the course related to journalistic style writing and you will build a PR campaign. You do have two options for this assignment. The first option, let me see if I can get a little bit closer so you can see this as I talk about it. The first option is going to be a cause campaign. So it's going to be advocating for something that is meaningful. Maybe it's something prevalent in the community, or maybe it's something prevalent in society that you really care about. Some causes I know that make great social media campaigns include bullying, stopping bullying, or fighting human trafficking. I've seen students do great work in the community for animal organizations, and I've seen them work really well just finding some unique causes that they already support and just working to further support them. So when you think about that, you're going to be thinking about a problem that exists and think about some solutions. And for this, you might think about what we can do to stop it, what organizations, and that being governmental or societal organizations, some nonprofits out there can do to stop it, and how you can gain support for those organizations. And think about ways that we can act to help solve the problem. So there's a lot of great movements started this way out there, and I did give you a resource here that you can see how, for instance, the Black Lives Matter movement began and how it has perpetuated. You can see that this was once a social media campaign that's gone on to be very successful. My idea here is that you're going to encourage some sort of action. So you're going to develop the site to encourage support, donorship, volunteerism, or further activism. So just getting people ignited to do more. Now, if you're not in the mood for a cause, or you're more interested in PR for business, you might appreciate building an ad campaign. And this can be for an organization, a product, a service. And in some cases, you can use this to support or endorse a celebrity. So if you wanted to do PR for someone that you admire and you guys wanted to work as a team to do that. Now, one thing you're going to look at here when you think about PR is when it comes to services or it comes to products, you want to think about how the audience is going to use this. How are they going to benefit from this product or service? And you're going to want to tap into their needs a little bit. So you want to think, well, I'm going to be changing their attitudes, beliefs, values, needs, and by approaching their needs and desires. So I'm going to really want to challenge them to want to use this product based on how it's going to best serve them. So I shared with you Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so you guys can build that into the development. You're going to want to consider benefits, right? Benefits over features. So when I have a cool piece of technology, for instance, it might be really unique and it might work really well for some people, but if it doesn't serve a purpose for me, then I'm not going to find it to be a really valuable tool. So thinking about how your audience can use it and benefit from it is important to marketing strategies. And there's some great interesting marketing approaches listed here that you guys can check out. And I'm happy to work with you sort of preparing this if you wanted to get something like this started, to talk about ways you could approach it. So you want to think about patronage here, or loyalty to an organization, product, or service. And you want to be able to measure that. So think about ways that you can measure it. So if you do decide to do PR for a product or service, then you want to make sure that you're going to be able to easily measure it, maybe through likes or clicks. So here I'm going to break down the assignment a little bit more for you guys. And I'm going to back up just a little bit here so you can see it. But the group project is going to be 3 to 4 members, and I'm trying to get you to choose your own members. I know a lot of you have reached out to me, and I have some groups already designed. But if you haven't chosen members and by now, or you don't have anyone you'd like to work with in particular, then I'm going to pair you up in groups of 3 or 4, and I'm going to set that up for you here in Canvas, so you'll be able to access those groups through a group chat. The assignment requires one project plan, a works cited page with at least 4 reliable sources, and I'm asking that you annotate those sources. And I will describe what annotations are later on in the project, but I do want you to think about how you use that source. Why is that source valuable or meaningful to the development of this project? So how did that source serve to better understand the problem or the solution, or serve to better promote the product's benefits over features for your audience? Your group will use 3 to 4 different forms of media. I encourage you to use at least one form of media per group member. So if you have a group of 3, each member should have their own media that they're overseeing and that they're responsible for. That doesn't mean they have to work on it alone. You can pair up to do that, but everyone should oversee at least one form of media. Some of the most effective mediums include YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Google+, LinkedIn. If you've got another site in mind, let me know. I'm sure it'll work, but I just want to hear more about it before you decide on it. For instance, some of you might like Pinterest, depending on what you're doing here. Additionally, you might create a sample website using a free website maker, and there's tons of them out there. I gave you a link to Weebly here, but there's others. Make sure that you use images, interviews, media, other types of resources to support the development, but that doesn't count as a separate social media site. So if you do use a YouTube video, but that YouTube video isn't created by you, then it is not going to be a form of social media that you're using. Okay, so it needs to be user generated. It needs to be for the purpose of PR. If you decide to embed a video that's free to use, it means it's not copyright. That's fine, you can do that, but do not count it as one of your social media sites. There's a link here for some social media sites. I wonder where this is going to take me because I can't remember what I found here. Okay, so the World Economic Forum, and it just gives you guys some ideas of the most popular social media sites throughout the world. So you can see here that different areas use different social media, and depending on what you're doing, you might want to consider that. It looks like here, Facebook is the most popular social media site. Yeah, this is a neat resource. I've forgotten I found it, but you get an idea of how that's being used, and Facebook is by far the most popular site in the US. All right, so kind of scrolling down, it gives you a breakdown of what each of the pieces are and how they're going to be used here. And it looks like I apologize, my camera has adjusted a bit. So let me see if I can get the full picture. There we go. All right, and so you can see once again the project plan. It's an important part of the development, and each member of the group should write a portion of this. But I do want you to keep in mind that if you do designate a group leader, they're going to be the one that oversees this and make sure that it is definitely a solid plan of execution. So you're going to identify a unified goal for the campaign. And the best way to do this is meet and talk about your ideas. Share what your vision is. And I love thinking about the vision of a project. What would each of you like to see? And this will allow for an open conversation about what you hope to achieve. If you do decide to promote a cause in the area, perhaps you all have one of interest that you all can support here in Claremont or in the surrounding communities, and you can go and visit that organization as a team, and that's a good meeting place as well to talk about ideas. The project plan should include the names and responsibilities of all the group members, as well as how each member achieved the goal. So it can be as short as a couple paragraphs, right, per person, or it can be a few pages. I know sometimes I have students who like to write, and they really do want to write a long response here. You're welcome to include images and other examples. So remember, this is a plan of development. So if you're out there in cyberspace and you're looking at other examples of successful social media projects, you're welcome to include that in your plan. The best plans, and this is really, really important, and I think it's important worth noting here right now, is the best plans are going to have clear objectives. So have a goal in mind. So to determine the goal, you're going to want to decide as a group what you see as success for the project. So how will your campaign be successful? Is it the clicks, likes, page hits, shares that you get that will allow you to know that your project is successful? And how do you plan on keeping track of this? So as you're choosing media sites, make sure that there's some way to track its usage. You will need a works cited page, and I want this prepared in MLA citation. So this is where you're going to provide a list of the sources. And I do want each group to have 4 sources. This doesn't mean each member, but each group. Now you can have more than 4 sources of research. Make sure you include those, but you only need to annotate 4. So make sure that you only annotate 4. You don't have to go beyond that. You might annotate the most important sources that you used. Now the annotations should include how you use the source, why the source was valuable to the development of the project. So when you do include that, make sure that you address the value of that source. And then I need a success analysis. Now this can be the last thing that you prepare. And so what I recommend for students is that the goal be that you've completed this project before spring break. And then that way you can use the time over spring break just to collect data. No one has to be monitoring this. No one has to be updating this. You just want to see how it works out there. So when you come back to school on Monday, you can access your sources, take a look at your sites, see what kind of traffic you've had, or if you feel like generating traffic, you can during spring break, maybe just going in and updating some things if you think that's going to help, but you're not required to do that. I encourage you to report on this on Monday, March 26th. It's a 1-page synopsis on the overall success of the project. So come together as a group to share how each one of your pages was successful, like how you were able to prove that and what you saw overall as being successful. Your grade is not going to depend on how successful your social media sites are. However, this is an opportunity for you to learn and reflect on that. So if it didn't get a lot of page hits, it didn't get shares, it didn't get likes, it didn't get clicks, why? Why do you think that was? That can be a really important piece of information to take away from this project. No matter what you're doing in the future, hopefully you will be able to gain some insight into using social media as a result of this project. So keep that in mind. All right, so I gave you a timeline here. So I had hoped you guys would have some group members established, but a lot of you did not, and that's okay. I'm going to reach out to you with some group members for those who do not have that. But I do recommend that you establish some roles in the group and responsibilities so that way it's easy for you guys to divvy up the project from here on out. And my suggested roles are leader, co-leader, researcher, and artistic designer. And those I feel will really help you to develop a project with everyone's interest in mind and help keep you guys on track and focused. This week, this is the research and development phase. So you don't have anything else due this week except for some reading, and the reading really will help you better write PR, better plan for writing for digital media. But here I really want you to focus on research and development. And this is where you need to really set some realistic deadlines for the project. So plan to meet virtually. Find some resource to do that, whether you choose to use Canvas or you choose to use another resource. I know Skype works really well. There's a ton of wonderful resources out there for groups to meet. You might like to meet maybe in FaceTime or in Facebook Messenger, where you can meet face-to-face and just talk about some ideas. There's some great resources though. So if you have questions about that, I have attached some resources to this week's overview. Now here you want to decide on a project, the project goals and the project plan. So each member should decide what aspects of the project they will focus on and what form of social media they would like to work with. If you choose to work collaboratively on several mediums, be sure to determine what responsibility each person should have, because it can become overwhelming if you haven't decided, okay, you're going to do this and I'm going to do this. If you both are trying to do the same things, it can become more of a burden than it is helpful to have a team member. Decide on the task to be completed and set a date for completion. I cannot emphasize this enough. Setting dates can really help you to be successful. And ensure that you schedule your next meeting. So if you guys haven't, met virtually, meet virtually, talk this out, hash this out, plan your execution, plan how you're going to gauge the project's success, as it clicks, as it likes, what kind of project are you working on, and that can help you to decide, and what kind of medium you're working with, that can help you to decide how to follow the project's success. And don't forget to plan another meeting. All right, so the 12th through the 18th, this is the final phase of the project. I do not want you guys working over spring break. That was not a goal of this project, but I wanted you to have plenty of time to prepare it. So 2 weeks should be enough time for each one of you to have a social media site established and to monitor it over spring break. This is the final phase of the project. And here you want to do the writing portions, right? So if you haven't done the project plan yet, which I hope you had already established each person's role and function and how you were going to plan the project early on. So someone should write that up. You need a works cited page with MLA citations. You need 4 unique forms of social media, and I would like to see those, so submit those active links. Don't forget your annotations for your works cited page, okay? That's easy to overlook because it's not laid out here side by side, but you don't want to forget annotations. And then a success analysis. And who's going to write this? That's up to you to decide. Each one of these pieces should be collaborative, but it is important to have one person's cohesive design, kind of putting everybody's thoughts on one page. So maybe the leader will do the project plan. Maybe the researcher will do the works cited page and the annotations, because you're going to send them your sources and your annotations, and they're going to compile it on one page. Please send them to them in MLA citation. Do not expect your researcher to build your citations. Your social media sites, you're each going to be responsible for at least one, so that's up to you. And then the success analysis, perhaps you will have your co-leader write the success analysis, and then you'll have the artistic designer go back over everything, make sure it looks good, make sure it's ready to be submitted. And this is your PR package. So depending on how you guys approach this, you can divvy up the responsibilities as you see fit. So that is the project. It's 150 points. It's due on the Monday following spring break. I am willing to be flexible with that. I am willing to give you till Tuesday. That way you can have a little bit more time to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Please do not wait to the last minute to do the project, however. That would be a detriment to everyone on the team. If you have questions, reach out to me. I am happy to talk more with you.